Hey everyone, today's video is packed with crucial information because we're less than 24 hours away from a historic winter storm that's about to impact much of the United States. This storm is shaping up to be one of those rare, unforgettable events, bringing record-breaking snowfall to parts of the deep south and delivering some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in years. It's not just a winter storm. It's a weather phenomenon that's going to rewrite records and disrupt daily life for millions. Temperatures are going to plummet across the country, with dozens of record-breaking lows expected from the Ohio Valley to the deep south and along the East Coast. It's a complex weather setup, and today we'll break it all down. I'll walk you through the latest updates on the storm, the changes we've seen in the forecast over the past few days, and just how dangerously cold it's about to get. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive in. Right now, the country is relatively quiet. This is what we call the calm before the storm. Light snow is already falling in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and the Texas Panhandle. While this snow isn't going to amount to much on its own, it's part of a bigger picture. Late tonight, this area of moisture will collide with a separate system, pulling in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. When those two systems meet, they'll set the stage for a winter storm that's not only rare, but also potentially life-altering for some areas. But before we get into details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. When I say historic, I truly mean it. This isn't about hyping up the weather. It's about being realistic about what's coming. For example, this is the first time in over a decade that northern Florida is under a winter storm watch. Tomorrow, parts of northern Florida will see ice and snow accumulation, which is practically unheard of. That's how unusual this setup is. And it's not just Florida. This storm will impact Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, all areas that rarely deal with winter weather like this. The driving force behind this storm is a massive Arctic air mass spilling southward from Canada. This isn't your typical cold snap. It's an extreme surge of frigid air that's going to bring record-breaking low temperatures to a huge part of the country. Tonight, the coldest air will settle over Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri, with temperatures dropping into the double digits below zero. But the cold doesn't stop there. By Wednesday, this Arctic air will push eastward, chilling the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and even parts of the Southeast. To give you an idea of just how cold it's going to get, tomorrow morning, parts of the Midwest could see temperatures as low as 25 degrees below zero. That's the actual air temperature, not factoring in the wind chill. Once you include the wind, some areas in northern Minnesota and Wisconsin could experience wind chills as low as 50 degrees below zero. At those levels, frostbite can occur within minutes. If you absolutely have to go outside, bundle up as much as you can. Layers, gloves, hats, whatever you've got, wear it. This kind of cold is dangerous, even for those who are used to winter weather. This Arctic blast is also what's making this Gulf Coast winter storm possible. Cold air like this doesn't usually reach so far south, but in this case, it's diving all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Combine that cold air with moisture streaming in from the Gulf, and you've got the recipe for significant snowfall and ice in places that rarely see either. First impacts will be felt tonight in Texas. Around 10 p.m., freezing rain and snow will begin developing in central and east Texas. By midnight, things will start to intensify. Heavy snow is expected to fall in areas like Houston, Lafayette, and New Orleans by early Tuesday morning. This isn't going to be a light dusting either. We're talking about heavy, wet snow that will accumulate quickly. Temperatures will hover in the upper 20s to low 30s, which is perfect for snow to stick and build up. As the storm moves eastward, Louisiana and Mississippi will see the heaviest snow during the day on Tuesday. By the afternoon, the snow and freezing rain will spread into Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, and South Carolina. Jacksonville, Florida could see freezing rain starting as early as 7 or 8 p.m. And once that happens, travel conditions will become extremely dangerous. If you're in the area and have plans to be on the road, you might want to reconsider. Freezing rain creates a layer of ice that's nearly impossible to drive on safely, especially in areas that don't have snowplows or salt trucks to treat the roads. Snowfall totals from this storm are going to be impressive, especially for the Gulf Coast. Southeast Texas and southern Louisiana are expected to see widespread totals of 3 to 6 inches, with localized areas potentially picking up 8 to 10 inches. In New Orleans, this storm could break records. The city has never seen more than 3 inches of snow on record, and the last measurable snowfall was in 2009. This storm is likely to surpass that, making it a truly historic event for the region. Further east, parts of Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas will likely see 1 to 3 inches of snow, with higher amounts possible in isolated spots. Even northern Florida could see a coating of snow which is an extremely rare occurrence. On top of the snow, ice will be a major concern, particularly in Texas and Louisiana. Freezing rain and sleet will create hazardous conditions, especially on roads. Even a thin glaze of ice can make driving treacherous. So if you're in an area expecting freezing rain, it's best to stay off the roads if you can. The storm will continue eastward through Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. By then, most of the snow will be confined to the coastal Carolinas and parts of northern Florida. Central and southern Florida will likely stay above freezing, but areas like Gainesville and St. Augustine could see freezing rain before temperatures warm up on Wednesday. This is a tricky forecast because storms like this are so rare in the South. Computer models don't have as much historical data to work with, which makes predicting snowfall totals more challenging. That said, this storm has the potential to overperform in some areas. So don't be surprised if some locations end up with higher totals than expected. For example, parts of southern Louisiana and southeast Texas could see localized snowfall totals well over 6 inches, and some spots might even approach 10 inches. The cold air is already making its presence felt. Across the northern plains, wind chills this morning plummeted to a staggering 55 degdef in parts of North Dakota, creating conditions so bitter that exposed skin can freeze in minutes. This bone-chilling air surging southward, plunging temperatures well below freezing across the central U.S. and setting the stage for a historic winter storm in regions where snow, ice, and freezing rain are practically unheard of. In states like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, where winter storm preparations are limited due to the infrequency of such events, this weather system is likely to leave a lasting impact. The storm's effects are already being felt in areas west of the Rockies. As the cold air funnels through mountain passes, it is creating powerful Santa Ana winds across Southern California, with gusts reaching as high as 100 mph in mountain areas and 50-70 mph in valleys. These dry, gusty winds are combining with critically low humidity levels to create an extreme fire weather risk in regions already vulnerable due to recent wildfires. Red flag warnings are in place for large swaths of Southern California, from Ventura and Santa Clarita to Malibu and Pasadena. In these conditions, even the smallest spark could ignite a rapidly spreading wildfire, posing an immediate threat to life and property. However, the primary focus remains on the deep south, where the storm's impacts are expected to be most severe and unusual. Starting tonight, freezing rain and snow will begin to spread into southern Texas, intensifying as it moves eastward into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. By early Tuesday morning, cities like Houston will wake up to freezing rain transitioning into snow, a sight that many in the region have never experienced. Snowfall rates could reach 1 to 2 inches per hour in some areas, making travel nearly impossible. Roads, including major highways like Interstate 10, will likely become impassable as local authorities struggle to manage conditions with limited resources. Stranded motorists could face delays in receiving assistance as the region's infrastructure is ill-equipped to handle widespread winter weather emergencies. As the day progresses, the storm will intensify further. New Orleans, a city far more accustomed to hurricanes and snowstorms, could see blizzard-like conditions by midday. Heavy snow combined with winds of 20 to 30 mph could create near whiteout conditions, with snowfall totals potentially reaching record levels. Snowfall is expected to extend as far south as the Gulf of Mexico, a phenomenon so rare it has occurred only a handful of times in recorded history. Coastal areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama are bracing for significant impacts, with snow and ice accumulations that will paralyze transportation, disrupt power supplies, and challenge emergency services. Farther east, the storm's trajectory will bring freezing rain and snow to parts of Georgia and the Carolinas, though the heaviest impacts are expected to remain closer to the Gulf Coast. Cities like Atlanta may see a few snow flurries, but the storm's greatest effects will be felt in areas less accustomed to winter weather. Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina could see measurable snow for the first time in years, though current forecasts suggest that these areas will likely escape the worst of the storm. Nevertheless, even light accumulations of snow or ice in these regions can create hazardous conditions, as roads and infrastructure are not designed to handle winter weather. The storm's impact will not end with its initial passage. The Arctic air mass behind the storm will keep temperatures below freezing across much of the affected region for several days, preventing snow and ice from melting and prolonging the disruption to daily life. Power outages are a major concern, particularly in areas where ice accumulations on trees and power lines could cause widespread damage. For residents in these regions, prolonged outages could mean days without heat during dangerously cold conditions, compounding the risk associated with the storm. In southern Texas and Louisiana, snowfall totals are expected to range from 2 to 4 inches, with localized areas seeing higher amounts. Houston, a city where even a light dusting of snow is a rare event, could receive up to 3 inches, while cities like Lake Charles and Lafayette may see accumulations of 4 to 6 inches or more. In New Orleans, snowfall totals could rival the city's all-time record of 8 inches set in the late 19th century. The storm's quick-moving nature will limit the total precipitation, but the combination of heavy snow and strong winds will still create significant hazard. As the week progresses, the frigid air will slowly begin to moderate, but the recovery will be slow. The Deep South will remain in the grip of below-average temperatures through at least Wednesday, and the lingering effects of the storm, power outages, impassable roads, and damage to infrastructure will take time to address. In many areas, life will not return to normal until the weekend, when a more significant warm-up is expected. For now, the focus is on preparation and safety. Residents in the storm's path are urged to stay off the roads, stock up on essential supplies, and make arrangements to stay warm if power outages occur. This storm, while not unprecedented, is a rare and extreme event that will test the resilience of communities unaccustomed to such conditions. By staying informed and taking proactive measures, the worst impacts can be mitigated and lives can be saved. The coming days will serve as a stark reminder of the power of nature and the importance of preparedness, even in regions where extreme winter weather is a once-in-a-generation event.